Patriotism is undemocratic and anti-worker. In remembrance of Ben Fletcher's 135th birthday today, I wanted to take a look at the mass arrests of the members of the International Workers of the World and the inspiring work of Ben Fletcher from Local 8 Philadelphia. Today we're reading Ben Fletcher, Life and Times of a Black Wobbly, authored by Peter Cole, 2nd edition, published 2021 by PM Press. On May 14, 1913, Philadelphia dock workers voted to join the IWW rather than the AFL-affiliated International Longshoremen's Association, or the ILA. The ILA would readily accept black workers, but only as second-class workers and auxiliary locals as second-class unionists. Employers took advantage of these tactics regularly, relying on race divisions to prevent workers from organizing. Moreover, the presence of thousands of desperate African Americans and East European immigrants, particularly Polish and Lithuanian Catholics, and Jews, who provided the willing work for lower wages, exerted an inevitable pressure on the employers to hire them. In this case, employers' natural instincts, that is, to find the cheapest possible labor and create a diverse and, they hope, divided workforce, ultimately laid the groundwork for the rise of Local 8. It was also commonplace for employers to use black workers that were excluded from union membership to replace striking workers. This is why the IWW's inclusivity was so powerful. They seen the value in inclusivity by all races of all genders because they knew that only change could come by uniting a working class. Ben Fletcher was a vital part of the organizing of Local 8, known as a truly talented orator or soapboxer. He quickly became an important part of the IWW, attending their international convention as a delegate and becoming an international organizer, traveling to the Northeast and even to the segregated South in Virginia, where he had to be snuck out due to threats from trying to organize other black workers. WW1 was seen by many leftists as an owner-class conflict in which the workers were forced to fight. And due to the dissension, the Espionage Act was put into place, which eviscerated free speech and democratic process, and then led to a ton of arrests. The conflict greatly increased pressure on anyone in the United States critical of U.S. society, including Wobblies, to cease their critiques and rally around the flag. Despite all these criticisms, Local 8 voted to not partake in any work stoppages during WW1, with one exception: a day off to celebrate their founding strike with a local parade. That same month, a federal grand jury in Chicago indicted scores of IWWs on multiple counts for conspiracy to hinder various acts of Congress and presidential decrees. Specifically, the Department of Justice issued warrants for the arrest of Fletcher and 165 other Wobblies on charges of interfering with the Selective Service Act, violating the Espionage Act of 1917, conspiring to strike, violating the constitutional right of employers executing government contracts, and using the mail to conspire to defraud employers. Fletcher was the only black member who was indicted in August 1918. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison and a $30,000 fine. Now, true to his exceptional sense of humor and his outstanding character, when the sentence came down, he leaned over to IWW leader Big Bill Haywood and he said, "The judge has been using very ungrammatical language." Bill smiles and he says, "How so, Ben?" Ben smiles back and he says, "The judge's sentences are too long." Throughout the 1900s, patriotism was used to undermine workers' movements and quiet dissent, and these practices still carry on today. The purpose of the raids and arrests were abundantly clear: destroy the IWW. The 100% Americanism, a toxic combination of jingoism, YT supremacy, and nativism, greatly heightened pressure to support the conflict and practically guaranteed trouble for the IWW. These forces added to the already existing ways the U.S. government aided employers to prevent unionism, break strikes, and weaken workers. Look, there's a big difference of being proud of where you're from and participating in oppressive systems that quiet any kind of dissension and don't leave room for any debate.